Mark, we're live right now.
Oh, am I supposed to start?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the fourth annual AI Idol competition, where we showcase for your entertainment and learning some of the hottest AI startups anywhere. So today we've got 10 excellent companies that will be presenting, 6 fabulous judges, which I'll introduce shortly. And then there's me, your host. My name is Mark Kramer. I am currently running product management for AI at Park, which used to be Xerox Park. And I'm also volunteering with the club, running the venture mentoring service. So the agenda is packed. We only have an hour, 15 minutes. So this is going to crank. The format is simple. Presenters will be given 2 minutes to show their stuff. That's obviously very short, so anticipate people will be speaking very quickly. And then judges will get 3 minutes to ask questions. We're not going to let anyone run over. If someone is in the middle of a sentence when the 2 minutes expire, then the world will never learn how that sentence ends. So the judges, in the interest of time, I'm just going to quickly introduce them myself. So we've got Jocelyn Goldfein, Managing Director at Seta Venture Partners, a San Francisco-based VC firm, where she leads investments in AI-first startups with B2B business models. We have Rohini, and I'm going to apologize in advance if I don't pronounce this right.
Chakravarti, yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Chakravarti. She's a general partner at NGP Capital, which is a global VC investing in venture growth companies, typically B and C rounds. We have Jake Seed. Is it Seed or Syed? Jake is a tech exec, investor and advisor, currently a managing director at Stonebridge Ventures, where his companies have raised collectively over $2 billion. So that's obviously quite awesome. Mike Cassidy has been the CEO and co-founder of 5 different startups: Apollo Fusion, which is his current startup, Aruba, Xfire, Direct Hit, and Stylus Innovation. All of the first 4 were successfully acquired. He was also previously the project leader of Google X Project Loon, which is balloon-powered internet for everyone. We have Sam O'Keefe, currently head of startup partners programs at Google Cloud. Previously, she was editor at TechCrunch, where she managed startup Battlefield. In addition to her roles in tech, she is a writer and producer of South of Market, an annual musical parody of the tech industry, which is quite hilarious. And lastly, we have Pagan Ebrahimi.
Oh, Pega.
Close.
But yes, last name
Go
is
ahead.
good.
Now say it.
Pega Ebrahimi.
Pega. Okay. Most recently, COO of Cisco's $6.5 billion collaboration business. Prior to that, she was CIO and COO at Morgan Stanley, where she led their digital transformation and sits on the FinTech Innovation Council. Okay, so that is our esteemed panel of judges. All right, we have Slido going, I believe. I think people know where it is. If the audience is interested in submitting questions for our judges to ask during their 3-minute Q&A, please pump it into Slido, and our judges will take a look at that and take that into account. The criteria for the competition is basically whatever the judges feel. But in general, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to focus on the quality of the presentation. So in other words, how well is the problem presented? How clearly do folks understand the solution? Do they talk about competition? Do they properly address their positioning, et cetera? As opposed to the merits of investment, like how big is the market and how attractive is the investment opportunity. And the reason for this is that we have some startups that have raised millions in venture capital already, and we have others that are in the proverbial garage. And so we just kind of want to even the playing field out a bit. In addition, this year, we're going to try something a little different. We're going to have a People's Choice Award. Renee, did you share the link somewhere to the form? So there's a form which will be shared where the audience members can rank or vote on all the presenters. You may use any criteria you want to score them all from 1 to 10. I would just ask that only vote once. And if you are affiliated with any of the presenting companies, I would ask that you don't vote at all. There's no way to enforce this, so we're going to use the honor code. Okay, last, the prizes. So what do you win? I don't think there are any prizes this year beyond the respect and adulation of your peers and the MIT community. And frankly, I can't imagine anything better than that. So, all right, we're already running behind schedule. I can't believe it. So we're going to crank through these 10 presentations. At the end, Shuja is going to give some announcements while we tabulate the scores. And then at the very end, we'll present the winners. Okay. All right. So first up is ThoughtForge. And I will just give a very quick introduction to them. We have Matthew Brown. ThoughtForge has developed the next step in machine learning. Their unique implementation allows edge devices to learn thousands of times faster than deep reinforcement learning. So I think, oh, there it is. Okay. Take it away. 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So first, hi, I'm Stavros Lee. And since we're on Zoom, this is Matt Brown. I've got a picture of him here. We've co-founded ThoughtForge. Machine learning promises to revolutionize every moment of our lives. While there's been a lot of progress, we're doing cool things, we're also seeing problems with the current approach. They say data is the new oil, and we agree. It's expensive, hard to work with, and dangerous if handled incorrectly. We don't think that's how it should be. We think AI should be easier to work with and not require so much data. Based on active inference, our unique patent-pending implementation learns using far less data and is able to react to new situations much faster. Saving time and money on training lets you iterate and experiment faster. Lowering the power requirements for inference lets it get onto cheaper edge devices, and adapting in real time lets us handle the crazy world we live in today. For example, when COVID struck and everyone changed their behavior dramatically, most machine learning models, frankly, broke. Our backgrounds are in cutting-edge AI, creating teams, building companies, shipping products to millions of people, including some of your favorite video games. We approached the creator of active inference, Dr. Carl Friston, most cited living neuroscientist, in January of this year and showed him our work, while we're proud to announce that he has officially signed on as an advisor to the company. We're building a platform to make machine learning better, cheaper, and faster. We're going to help everyone build the next generation of machine learning applications. We're starting with a SaaS cloud-based platform to build and serve those models, over time adding the ability for edge deployments. We're currently exploring pilot programs with a few different companies, and we are hoping to finalize them in the next few months. If data is the new oil, we're solar power. And to all the other people presenting today, we'd like to help you save money and iterate quicker. We'd like to offer you early access to our SDK and see what you can build. Thank you, we're ThoughtForge.
Okay, awesome. With 4 seconds to spare. Amazing. Okay, that is a great start. All right, judges.
I can jump in. Thanks for the great presentation. I'm curious, it seems like you're building an SDK. Who do you see as your first customers for this, and what value do you provide to them in terms of, how much data reduction could you deliver for them?
In some of our in some of our examples, we've reduced it from millions to thousands. In some cases, we've gone from thousands to dozens of examples. That's broad-based. First examples are people, oil and gas, people in robotics, and even some people facing anomaly detection issues.
Great. Another question, Jake?
Yeah. You're trying to do a lot more with less. How do you benchmark the performance of the models and the AI systems that use your method versus the traditional method beyond just, taking less training, less data, the actual end performance on the customer problem? Is it on par? Is it lower than par? Is it above par? Can you quantify that for us?
Yes. So because we build our models differently, we kind of have a hierarchy of predictions. We are actually more robust. So as you introduce more kind of edge cases, things it hasn't seen before, we do better. These are broad problems, so it's hard to quantify in 10 seconds. I apologize.
Okay, we got a minute 20. Someone else want to jump in with a question? I can't see slides.
I have a question for you,
Please.
Stavros. So how far along is the company, and do you have product built, customers? Can you give us a sense for how far along you are?
We are less than a year old. We have our internal SDK that we are dog fooding and maturing. And like I said, we're in talks with a few different companies for pilot projects. We haven't locked any down yet.
So my question is, without getting into proprietary stuff, at a high level, sorry, how does it make things better, cheaper, faster?
Well, so while deep learning is mapping inputs to outputs, right, and it's a function approximator, we actually, our model learns to understand its environment. And again, the simple way to explain this is it builds a hierarchy of expectations about its world. And that way, when some of its expectations are wrong, it can fall back onto more generalized base assumptions. Again, I apologize for the overbriefness. I'd love to go more in depth.
Okay, and so like an example, a concrete example for an oil and gas, are there certain things as part of that industry that would be like a 15-second example of how hierarchies would use it in that industry to make your stuff work faster? For example, oil and gas, you've got robotic arms doing different tasks. Over time, out in the real world, those motors will act differently in the real world instead of simulation. Because, and you've got your 6-degree freedom arm, because our model understands it can accomplish its goals through different ways, when one motor isn't giving it enough motion or it's blocked, it knows there are other ways to accomplish those goals, and it rolls right into that live. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. That was fantastic. Stavros, excellent job. Okay, next up, we've got Markable AI. Using computer vision AI technology, they can detect all fashion items within an image and video and make them shoppable. So I believe we have Joy. Yes.
Right.
Okay. Oh, I've lost my
I'll do the
screen.
presentation now.
Okay, take it away.
Thank you. So my name is Joy Chen. I'm MIT class of 07, and thank you for the opportunity. So Markable, I'm the founder and CEO of Markable AI. Markable is a company that makes shopping a seamless experience on any beautiful photo or video you've seen. Imagine you're watching a TV show, simply pause the video and product will pop up on the screen. It can be from different retailers, different brands. The right pricing will show up in your screen at the right time. Everything is customized to the consumer. And on the mobile experience, you can actually make the product automatically jumps on the screen. And as you find the product you like, simply swipe open. This is all built by deep learning computer vision, and we have multiple professors and PhDs on the team. So you will see all products recommended, specified for your comfortable price range and your typical retailer you shop from. So the reason we're doing this is because today's advertising world is very polluting. It's polluting your eyes and disturb your experience, and actually the conversion rate is really low. We have tested our experience with China's unicorn social media platform, and we have seen a 25 times higher conversion. This is what we launched with China's Netflix/YouTube. It's called iQIYI.com. If you watch the TV show, you can actually click on search button and instantly find out what your favorite actors and actresses are wearing. These are similar products recognized by computer vision, not the exact product. But if we have the exact product, the chances to show up on the top spot is actually 80%. We have benchmarked our technology with Google and with Alibaba, all the top companies in the world. We actually seen our click-through rate is 20%, and we know Google's Lens click-through rate is only 10%. Consumers definitely love our solution. And we estimated the solution on our current customer Weibo, which is China's Facebook/Instagram. We can bring them additionally 100 million revenue if they launch this feature sidewise. Currently, they launched this feature on around 1% of the user base.
Okay, Joy, thank you so much. All right, 3 minutes of questions. My judges, just jump in.
Joy, this is Jocelyn from Seta. I'm curious, with the deep learning models, what's the accuracy, and how do you measure accuracy? How do you know you're showing product that actually is relevant to the video?
Yeah, there's we benchmark our technology against available public papers like published by Google or published by what's that company called? VSense and the unicorn in China. So we actually normally compete against the same data set, and that's the only way to be subjective. And we have seen we have at least 50% higher accuracy using the same data set, searching against the same product base as well. But the other method you can measure your accuracy is through users engagement, because really at the end is user who find it useful. So we know that Google Lens typical see to search rate, search to click rate is around 10%, and we are 20%. I think the reason is also we've highly focused on fashion, this vertical recognition, and everything is, our training data is basically using wild images of video and photo where actress is wearing the item against, item products together.
So this is Mike. For Instagram on a phone, are you layering on top somehow, or a browser on a laptop? Are you in a Chrome extension, or how are you layering on top of a video experience?
Yeah, so we typically work directly with a content platform. We have a B2B model, and we also have a B2C model. For the B2B model, we give our client the API. The API is very simple. You send us the image or the video, we send you back the products along with, typically the content platform will also send us the user ID. It's like a masked user ID. We don't know their identity, but we know what products they've been purchasing, what they've been engaging. So our product result is actually not only computer vision, is also using their previous activity history as well. So that's using API direct integration. We already launched with China's Netflix and China's Facebook. They total together have 800 million monthly average users. And the other way we're exploring is actually B2C. We currently have we call the comment bot. So we did a market research on the internet. About 2% of overall comments are someone directly asking, where did you get that thing from? So we actually designed the robot, like combined with scripting spider technology and utilizing the content platform's own API. So whenever a user asks a question, we can instantly send them a shopping link immediately. So that will be launched in a month.
Very, very impressive. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Joy. Thank you very much. Okay, all right, moving right along. Next up is Glance. And they are, let's see here. Marketers at mid-sized companies are overloaded with a deluge of metrics and lack cross-channel insights. So they're going to help marketers with the cognitive overload. So I believe we have.
Hi, this is Roy.
Okay, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Okay, before you start, tell us what's the technology you're using to do that?
We're using a combination of algorithms as well as our proprietary AI.
No. The one you're in the tiny corner there, and you've got your presentation behind you. How'd you do that?
That's an app called And
so you're in the private beta. Okay, good job. All right, 5 minutes. Let's go.
There is a thought that digital marketing is a solved problem, but it's not for so many people like Adam. Adam is a marketing manager of a B2B SaaS company. He's got about $10 million in revenue. He uses the usual channels like Google Ads and everything else to drive traffic, and he converts them to suspects who become leads and suspects. And his sales team, of course, takes over and converts them into sales. He, of course, uses Google Analytics, HubSpot, and other things to track all of his performance. Here's the problem. Adam doesn't know where to allocate his budget. He can't foresee if LinkedIn is more valuable than Twitter. Twitter sometimes can give you more leads, but not really valuable. He can't see correlations of traffic. In order to gain any kind of insights, Adam has to collate all the data, go to all of these channels, analyze this, interpret this, and then make decisions, which takes 30% or more of his time. But Adam doesn't have this time. He doesn't have the engineers to get all this data in one place. He does not have the specific expertise to do this kind of complex analysis. Big companies very much use Tableau for visualization, data warehouse tools like Snowflake, but Adam, as a mid-sized company marketer, cannot afford it. He does not get a fair shake. And this is the problem we're solving with Glance. We're targeting medium-sized businesses in America. We are building an AI expert that easily connects with all those channels, collates all the data, runs the algorithms through our proprietary AI model tree and determines what's the right smart insights to provide. And we provide that in a conversational or a web format. Adam doesn't have to write a single line of code. He knows his marketing effectiveness. He can take critical actions with confidence. He can focus on strategy, creative, and content. And that's for Glance. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Okay, perfect. Well done. Judges?
Yeah, I have a question, Pega here. My question is, are you, given you're building the AI models, depending on the type of company, they might, the model should be telling them different things, right? For some company, they might want more conversions on certain pieces, or they have different things they're solving for. So do you guys allow that as well, to say, here's the 5-6 things I care about, or here, and have different models and insights created for that company that seems more customized?
So that was more internal, Pega. What we've done is in the onboarding, we ask what's the type of the business, what's the type of the traffic, because if it's a B2B business, we're only B2B, but even then the purchase behaviors are different. So there are different model trees that we have to follow. So essentially 80% of the buying behavior is same, unless you're at too unique or a niche site. There are 20% customizations that we plan to offer as custom models as we go forward. At this time, we are doing all of that through onboarding and metadata modeling.
All right, we got another question?
Yeah, quick question. Is this only focused on small and mid-sized businesses, or do you see that departments within larger enterprises would adopt this to solve their problems, again, more from a bottoms-up perspective versus a tops-down? Maybe they've purchased Snowflake or Tableau or some other solution.
What happens in the typical large enterprises, they do have data warehouse investments, which are big. So they're looking for a faster, they're like either migrating to Snowflake and they're trying to do that as a data source. In a medium-sized businesses, we don't have to create, we don't have to migrate the data lake into our own. We just say, connect your channels and we can launch in all the data. There is a significant opportunity for us to go up market, but I think there's quite a bit of big size market in the mid-size. Up to more than 32,000 businesses struggle with this just in the Northern America. And that too, we've done a very small targeting based on LinkedIn and saying that these are the companies we have to go after. So we do see an opportunity to go up market as we go mature and build more better models.
Roy, what's the business model? Are you purely SaaS subscription, or are you
SaaS subscription plus an add-on on revenue management as we go to the higher cost? It is it is a decreasing tier as your budgets are higher. Our model tier cost is lesser in terms of the spend management, but the spend management part is coming soon. Right now, it is just subscription revenue at this point in time.
Thank you.
15 seconds if anyone wants to jump in with a quick one.
Curious about customer traction, if you can say a few words about how many customers, order of magnitude revenue.
So we did launch an earlier product, which was a smart console, which got all this metrics. So we have some MRR. We have about 700 active customers. We have 100 in specific segment, and we are now launching the Insights engine for all the customers. Our early, what do you call it? There's been a very joyous resonance to our offering for some early beta customers on the Insights part of it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. That was a great presentation. Appreciate it. So we've done 3 so far, which begs the question as to why on the voting, I already have 9 responses. So people, the audience, you must wait to hear all of them before you vote. How could you know? How could you know who's best? Anyway, okay, just throwing that out there quickly. Next up, we have base operations with Corey. So if 2020 taught companies one thing, is that understanding threats is key, keeping people safe, adapting to new circumstances, keeping operations running. All right, so Corey, looks like, oh, is it Roy? Who's speaking?
I'm speaking, right?
Oh, Corey, yes. I'm sorry, my screen said Roy. If you're ready to go, go for it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mark. So hi, I'm Corey Siskin. I'm the founder and CEO of Base Operations, a data analytics platform for threat intelligence. Let's see, can I move this forward? Yeah. So as Mark mentioned, if 2020 taught companies anything, it's that understanding threats is essential for keeping their people safe and operations running. However, in a world in which most of a company's departments have been optimized by a SaaS platform, physical security is still decades behind. I know this market well because I spent years in Mexico City at the preeminent security firm. I loved helping companies expand into emerging markets, but I was frustrated by a lack of innovation. The security industry still relies on a few analysts reading the world's news, writing a report, and emailing a PDF. So I spent 3 years at Harvard and MIT studying and starting base operations. Base aggregates hundreds of millions of incident data points and visualizes them to help companies answer geolocation-based questions. With base operations, companies secure their people and infrastructure, decide where to expand, optimize routes, schedule events, and so on. We help our customers interpret crime, unrest, pandemics, and supply chain risk down to the street corner and season and time of day. Our small but mighty team has brought operations from idea to market. I know this market. Scott has 2 decades of experience building security SaaS, and Maggie has deep expertise in security sales. We've attracted an advisory board with experience across the intelligence, security, and mobility spaces. And with very few resources, we've landed some great customers, including global insurance company AXA and 2 of the FANGs. We've partnered with leading security companies and received pre-seed backing from top VCs in the space. The events of the past 4 months have validated the urgency of our product. We built the engine, and now we're raising a seed round to fuel our growth. If you're interested in connecting as a corporate partner or investor, please reach out. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Corey. We got 3 minutes for questions.
Corey, Rohini here. So how much of this is data versus interpretation on your part? And I guess related to that, how do you avoid bias in some of those interpretations?
Great question. And I actually have one slide that goes, it's so fast to talk about this in 2 minutes, but AI is an enormous part of what we do. Data is an enormous part of what we do. Interpretation in terms of feeling is very little. We work mostly with hard facts, reports that have been, or incidents that have been reported. Validation is a huge part of what we do. So we detect aberrations in reporting patterns, targeting false reports, mitigating confirmation bias. And there's actually a lot we can do on that topic to make data around crime more accurate.
All right, another question?
Quick follow-up to that. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the data sources that you're using. You mentioned in your problem statement, people reading the news. Are you ingesting the news? What else are you looking at to build this analysis?
Yep. So our data comes from 4 primary sources: government data, partnerships, and those are typically NGOs or universities that collect their own data sets. Crowdsource reports. So we work with some local social media companies like, a site where you can report gunshots in Sao Paulo, like very local social media. And then some news, mining local news as well.
Corey, this is Jake. Can you talk about who your customer is, who the economic buyer is, and what kind of budgets they typically have for this type of solution?
Yeah. So we typically, we sell into the security departments of companies. So like I mentioned before, you've probably seen a lot of cybersecurity products, but chief security officers also buy physical security products. There's not a lot of innovation in this space, but we will typically sell into the head of intelligence or travel security, and they maintain quite large budgets, but they tend to go to a lot of legacy players. What we've seen so far is that they're hungry for innovation. And so we've had some of the top companies in the world, some of the most innovative companies, bring on base operations to supplement what their legacy players are doing and eventually replace them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Corey. Very well done. All right, moving along. Melodia is next up. I believe we have Omid. Melodia is a smart music streaming platform offering a simpler way to play and explore music. So, is Melodia on deck?
I believe so. Can everyone hear me, see me fine?
Yep. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
Go.
All right. Hi. So we're Melodia. Melodia is a smart music app. We want to make it easier and more fun to play and explore music. The music streaming market is growing. In 2018, 278 million people paid for music subscriptions, and that was up 39% from the year before. So we're proudly and boldly going up against some big competitors, Spotify, Pandora, what have you. But the paradigm that we're offering is something totally different. Every other music app out there in the market today is essentially built on the same two building blocks, playlists and stations. Ultimately, what differentiates these services from one another is how many of each they offer and how big and diverse their catalog is. But there's a problem with this model. You open up any other music app, you're bombarded with so many different options to choose from. All the radio stations are generic, meaning that they're all related to a seat. It takes a lot of effort to organize and maintain your playlists and libraries. And also, apps today, they don't really offer a good context-based learning. So our solution here is to offer a new model. Instead of inundating the user with so many different playlists and stations, we want to provide every user with one personalized station that dynamically adapts to their every moment. Ideally, we want our AI and machine learning algorithms to make this station so smart and so intelligent that given the user's unique taste and moment, and by moment, I mean the time of day, the day of week, the user's location, speed, what have you, given all that, not only what's the best song to play for the user, but what's the best combination, the best flow, the best ordering of songs to play for any given user at any given time. And that's where we essentially get to realize the full power of the technology we've created. We have a patent pending application on the algorithms and engine we use, which is a neat way of combining graph theory and AI machine learning algorithms. We have over 20,000 active users with over 1 million streams played on our platform worldwide. We've been featured by Apple's App Store as one of the top 10 apps for everyday life. And we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Questions from the panel?
I mean, this is Jocelyn. What data sources do you use about the consumer to personalize the music choice?
Good question. So initially, you open up the app, you tell it the artists you like and some of the songs you like, and we just take it from there. Basically, the more the user uses our app, the better the algorithms get. It's kind of like a reinforcement learning thing going on. And what differentiates us with other apps is that, for example, with Spotify, if you open up the app, if you start a station with, say, the Beatles, Let It Be, all the songs that get recommended after that are either going to be by the Beatles or somehow related to the Beatles or somehow related to the song. Whereas we understand that I personally, if I want to start with the Beatles in the afternoon, I might like listening to a classical piece afterwards and then a jazz piece. Whereas in the morning, if I'm running up the hill, I might want to listen to the Beatles and then the Rolling Stones and the Eagles. And in terms of the metadata, we have some third-party services for providing us with the actual tempo of the song, the genre, the excitability, and some other features that help us map out the graphs that we personalize for each user.
Okay, another question? How many users?
Yeah. 20,000, I thought.
20,000. Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I read.
Active users.
Okay.
We had a 6-month trial period, which we were able to get access to all the songs as long as we follow the DMCA guidelines, which basically says you can't have more than 6 skips per hour, you can't play songs on demand, et cetera, et cetera. And by the end of that period, we had over 20,000 users and over 1 million streams played worldwide. Right now, you can still use the app, but you have to connect through Spotify or Apple Music.
All right, Omid, let's get that question. Go ahead.
So I was going to ask, maybe it's related to that, with respect to content, how much do you end up paying for the content that you play? So for your 20,000 users, how much would you pay per month, let's say?
Sure. So the trial period that we got we essentially had to pay Sound Exchange, which is an organization that regulates the DMCA. They take an annual fee of $50,000, and they take a royalty per stream of 0.0018 of a dollar, if I'm not mistaken, for every song that we stream. And so that's for the DMCA. But if we want to move to an on-demand version, which is going to be our next step, that's going to be a totally different ballgame. We got to negotiate directly with the labels then.
All right, Omid, thank you so much.
All right,
Great
thank you.
job.
Thanks.
Okay, we are at the halfway point. Next up, Lumen DX. We have Susan. They are elevating every doctor to have the visual expertise of a dermatologist using computer vision and AI. So do we have Susan?
Can you hear me?
There we go. Okay, as soon as you're ready, go.
Of course. Okay, excited to be here. I'm Susan Conover, co-founder and CEO of Lumen DX. And I was diagnosed with melanoma when I was 22 by my primary care doctor. He wanted to refer me out to a dermatologist, but knew the wait would be 3 months. So he went ahead and biopsied my mole directly. I'm incredibly lucky because he was right, it was a melanoma. But in most cases like mine, skin diseases are misdiagnosed and mistreated by non-specialists 50% of the time. The reason is that skin is hard to assess. It's also a condition that affects a lot of people around the world. 2.3 billion people have skin issues every year. So what are we doing about it? Well, we're enabling every doctor around the world to have the visual expertise of a dermatologist using computer vision and AI. We've talked to a ton of primary care physicians, and what we learned from them is that they want something that's fast, that's not going to take a long time, and is also accurate, something that they can trust. And so our app works very simply. You take 2 photos, one closer to the skin and one further away, answer related questions like how long the condition's been there, and instantly learn similar conditions to the picture they just took. Basically visual search. So to set context here, primary care physicians are about 50% accurate, and dermatologists are about 90% accurate, encountering about 200,000 patient cases over the course of their career. Right now, our AI is at 80% accuracy, so right between a PCP and a dermatologist. We've licensed 100,000 images directly from experts with the associated diagnosis in the last 9 months, and we're on track to licensing 1 million of the right skin disease images over the next 6 months. We have an amazing team. We just raised our 2 million round of funding, our seed round that we closed 2 weeks ago. And so if you have a dermatologist that you know, or suggestions on image collection.
Okay, Susan, thank you very much. You're being cut off. Sorry about that. All right, questions?
Can you give us some sense of your market traction? Are you working with any live customers yet or pilots?
Good question. So we're making our AI to that accuracy level of a dermatologist, 90% accuracy before we launch. And so we are not working with primary care physicians yet. We're working on that accuracy.
Susan, the data is going to be pretty widely available, these types of photos. Can you talk about your barriers to entry?
Yeah, so of course, it seems intuitive that there would be photos out there of these. And so what we've encountered is 95% of players in our space are focused on melanoma because of the availability of photos. But dermatology is not like radiology, pathology, where you transmit a photo to an expert. It's largely practiced in person. And so what we've encountered is that there are a lot of photos of melanoma, but not other things. And so we have, in all of our data agreements, we discuss exclusivity. For the 100,000 we've brought in so far, half of those we have exclusive commercial perpetual rights to.
Is the go-to-market that you would enable a primary care physician to be as good as a dermatologist, or is it targeted at patients?
It's targeted at primary care physicians for business model and regulatory reasons.
Another question? presentation was so clear that.
Well, I have another question on,
Okay.
on the regulatory stuff. So how long, what's the process from here to being approved from a regulatory perspective?
Yeah, so we don't require approval because we're doing visual search in the category of clinical decision support. So it's comparable to an advanced library search capability. So that's one of the reasons that we're launching in about 9 months with primary care physicians, because we don't require FDA approval.
Okay,
there are a lot of things that go into that. So like making the AI explainable, making sure we don't say, hey, you should do this, but we say, here are the conditions that are likely, and a few different things that we have to be sensitive around, of course.
Thank you.
Anyone want to squeeze in a last question? All right, Susan, fantastic job. Thank you very much. All right, Lynn Code Labs is up next. Rajesh, helping manufacturing companies do autonomous visual inspection of the products they manufacture. So, are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Hi, everyone.
Go for it.
Yeah, Lynn Code is into smart factory transformation. So we work with manufacturing companies to make them smart factories. Sorry, there's a video. I'm the founder of the company. My name is Rajesh Iyengar, and I had 3 previous exits prior to starting Lynn Code, and I'm joined by my CTO, Ritika, who's worked with Microsoft and ADP and companies like that, and Eric as well. So we are the founders of the company, and we have excellent advisors coming from Tesla to various robotics and automation companies to help us with the issues with the automations when we are trying to integrate with the robots and the conveyor systems in the manufacturing facilities. The current challenge the industry facing is manual inspection or machine vision. So these are the 2 important factors they use for operating their products. So while testing out with these, the false positive is very high, where the error rates are very high for them, and the labor cost because of that is high as well. And their production is very low compared to what it should have been because of the technology that they've been using. And this is a 20-year-old technology. With our solution, we are able to inspect every product which is coming out of the line and analyze them at various stages and provide the data as to why this particular defect is happening, and then they can eliminate the future defects. With our solution, the impact is we are increasing the production and reduce the false positives and the labor costs, and we are also providing them 4x returns on the investments they're making. And it's a patent pending technology and a proprietary model that we have built on the AI, and that's helping us to accelerate the solutions for the customers. So we don't need any offline or a boxed model to do the testing. So we do actually do all the inspections right at the assembly line. And these are some of the dashboard and some of our automotive sectors that we worked. And we have about 15 plus customers, and the market is about $600 billion, and we are rising about 3 million in seed now. And that's
all right,
about us.
Rajesh, perfect. All right, so judges, questions.
How is it deployed on the factory floor? I mean, is it inline, or are you getting batch?
It's inline actually. So we deploy cameras. It could be like 1 camera or multiple cameras. It could be going up to even 5 cameras, and it's deployed on premise or on cloud. We are giving both options for the customers.
How many deployments do you have currently in the field, and what kind of results have you seen from them?
So we have so far about 200 plus inspection stations deployed, 15 plus customers, and 50 plus pilots. And these are the various very complicated products that we have identified, right from fuel injection pumps in automotives to aerospace products as well, and other electrical manufacturing companies as well. So this is some of the customers that we have deployed. So we're doing for OEM as well as the suppliers, tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers as well.
Can you talk about who you're replacing? Is this, I imagine they have existing automated inspection systems in place, and what's the difference? You know, certainly some are manual, but what's the difference between your system and the other automated systems that people use today?
Yeah, so machine vision is a technology primarily used, and it's about 10 plus year old. And this system is actually throwing up a lot more false positives, which is basically if you have a defect in a product and it shows us a good one and it gets shipped to the customer, and there they have returns issues and stuff like that. And currently it is anywhere between 3 to 15% is the defect ratios, and that is what we are trying to reduce here.
All right, we got time for one more.
What about a system called, this is Mike, what about a system called Keyence? I don't know if you've heard of that one. That has some sort of automated system that had pretty low false positives, I think.
Yeah, so there are various applications from Keyence, which is actually working without any issues, but there are surface level defects, specifically like black on black on certain material. That is when the false positives are very high. And those are the aspects we are actually trying to improve for manufacturing companies.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 3 more to go. Next up is Rig D, or perhaps it's rigged. I guess we're going to.
It's Rig D. Thanks.
Rig
Thanks,
D.
Mark.
Thank you, Wayne. All right. Rig D solves incident response issues and enables more effective work collaboration. If you're ready to go, it's all yours.
Yep. All right, thanks. Hi, I'm Justin Griffin. I'm the founder of Rig D. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do. What we do at Rig D is we focus on critical work efforts. Today, critical work efforts in modern business require a new approach, one that's based on a foundation of remote collaboration. For any of you who have a dead plant back at the office you haven't seen in months, you kind of understand the concept and the importance of remote work in today's world. Now, these issues or incidents, as they're often called, share common characteristics. They're typically complex and dynamic and require a lot of decision-making in the process. They generally require an urgent solution or resolution, and they're often very costly. These needs also span pretty much every domain and discipline you can think of. There are SREs and DevOps teams tackling issues in technical operations. You've got sales ops teams that are working through high value proof of concepts or deal desk issues, trying to close key deals. In financial operations, you have, quarter end close issues and audit requirements or requests. Over in manufacturing industrial, there's production down problems. Even in government, you have FEMA tackling, disasters. And at present, you have, a multitude of departments and teams responding to the current pandemic. So it's a pervasive challenge. Now, platforms like Slack and Microsoft Teams provide the collaboration element to improving these interactions. And at Rig D, we're providing the intelligence to help people actually resolve these incidents with greater efficiency. Now, regardless of the domain or business function, these work efforts, follow a similar pattern. You have to engage the right people to work through them. You have to validate the type of problem and the issue you're dealing with. And ultimately, there is a solution that can be utilized across these. And at Rig D, we use AI to enable this. We use robust natural language, as well as deliver suggestions and automation that's derived from identifying interaction patterns.
Okay, Justin, thank you so much. Can we get some judges' questions?
So are you using AI in essence to figure out who the right parties should be and defining the group that should go tackle that? Or is it more the automation component of it? After it already happens, then let's figure out how to divvy up the work.
It's actually a multitude of areas. So one is certainly what you mentioned, which is who are the right people to solve a problem. Through observation of past incidents, you can determine, who the right and most appropriate people are. Also, what are the right questions to ask? A lot of times you have to get an expert on the phone and he tells you, hey, did you get the logs yet? Or have you looked at this information? That kind of stuff through observation can be automated and surfaced up so it's gathered initially, dramatically improving the amount of time it takes to get progress on an incident early on.
And do you guys have customers?
Yeah, we have we're approaching about 150 deployments with a pretty broad spectrum of, small startups to, I think we've had almost a dozen or so Fortune 100 companies that have deployed.
Among your customers, are they gravitating to a particular use case? Sort of, so I'm trying to imagine where your product market fit is, right? Which is it the who do you know, or is it how you solve it?
We've tended to focus on technical incident response, and in that realm, most commonly the value proposition is to, sort of relative to the graphic you see there on our second slide. It's how do I? I'm sorry, I actually didn't move forward. It's how do I get started? Who are the right people to engage? And, how do I get the right initial set of information? Most commonly, people have spend the majority of their incident time trying to get started, and that's pretty much dead time without automation. So that's where we get the most value initially.
All right, we got time for one quick one.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the deployments you have in the large organizations requiring a lot of building into their internal systems as well, or are they treating it as separate standalone, or are they integrating it?
That's a good question. We have about 10 or so integrations that we've developed to the most common tools. That tends to get us probably a good 60 to 70% of the way there, even with the large organizations. But in those cases, it is fairly common that they will want to integrate with other solutions. I mean, on average, even the large organizations, it's 90 minutes to kind of get to a point where they've got the foundation, and perhaps another 2 weeks of some customization or integration again to internal systems before they're sort of fully deployed.
All right, Justin.
Technical standpoint.
Thank you, Justin. That was fantastic. Really appreciate it. Next up, we have Vahan. And Vahan, okay, they are building a LinkedIn for the next billion internet users. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, it is all yours. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Hey, we are Vahan, where we are helping on-demand companies in India hire workers at scale using WhatsApp. On-demand companies in India hire close to 1 million workers every month, but their entire workforce churns out every 3 months. And this, along with the fact that more than half of the candidates who apply for these jobs don't have requisite skills. Each of these employers have to work with multiple vendors, often more than 50 vendors, makes it a extremely complicated problem. In short, blue and gray collar recruitment is fragmented, inefficient, and outdated. In order to solve this problem, what we have built is a marketplace on top of existing messaging apps. We are collecting data about users, their geographical, employment history, demographic data, and using this data along with AI to power various touch points in the product and come up with qualified leads. In short, we are trying to be the LinkedIn of the blue collar workforce. As of today, we are focusing on the jobs aspect, but we believe that we can cover the entire life cycle of the user. We have got a lot of traction. We have over 3 million users on our platform. We are able to source from more than 1,200 cities, and 95% of our conversation with our users is being read, and they are engaging actively. There is a huge opportunity out there. We believe this is close to $6 billion as a TAM, and we have a great team in place and a great set of investors to help us with our mission.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Mike. Sounds really cool, impressive progress. Can you give us an example of how it will pull data from the WhatsApp to learn it's a qualified candidate? Like, is it something that someone's saying in their text or something that someone puts in their WhatsApp profile? How do you put, what data are you pulling?
Right. So as a part of the qualification, there are multiple systems. First system is a conversational AI, which tries to understand what are your interests. And then according to those interests, it tries to qualify. So in case somebody wants to be a delivery partner, then there are certain things that are needed for an individual to qualify as a delivery partner. And we ask those questions and get the answers. And then there is a secondary system that kick in, which actually require you to upload certain proofs and validate the information that you have provided from there.
Excellent, thank you.
Can you talk about who pays for the customer acquisition and how that works? Or I should say the candidate acquisition, not the companies, the candidates.
So in terms of acquiring the candidates, we are doing it. But primarily because WhatsApp is one of the primary means of communication in India, there are more than 400 million users in India which are using WhatsApp, and which is one of the primary reasons we have built this entire system on top of WhatsApp. As a matter of fact, we are one of the very few companies in India to have official access to the WhatsApp API. Hence, our acquisition cost becomes extremely low.
All right, we got time for one more.
Anuj, can you also comment on other languages? So, I'm assuming that with this workforce, English may not be their first language.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
So as a matter of fact, the current system is capable of dealing with multiple languages, including mix of languages, which is the predominant way in which these people communicate. This is, I would say, neither English, nor Hindi, nor Kannada, nor Tamil. It's a mix of it. And a lot of effort has gone into building a system that can understand this code mixed language and make sense out of this.
We got another quick one? Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Great presentation. We are at our final presenter now. 1 second. Yeah. Okay, next up, Infinite Analytics. It's an AI platform that analyzes consumer behavior for brands such as Coca-Cola, Discovery, Sony, and others. And they are repurposing their platform into a contact tracing platform for governments. So it looks like...
I'm here, Mark.
I'm not sure who's presenting. Oh, Akash.
Akash,
Okay,
Akash Bhatia, yes.
All right, ready to go?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Yep, ready to go.
Go for it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Akash Bhatia, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Infinite Analytics. When COVID struck, we repurposed our platform in 48 hours to actually help governments across, state governments across India with contact tracing and using mobility analysis to stem COVID. What do we do, right? So we know that COVID spreads through contact and movement. And so Infinite Analytics analyzes both to control the spread. And we also know that contact tracing apps across the world have really failed because of lack of adoption. And so we use existing data. And so really nobody ever really needs to download an app. What I'm going to show you over here is a video of a religious congregation that became a super spreader somewhere in March. What we were able to do is identify about 1,000 people out of the 3,000 people that attended the congregation in Delhi. And we were able to go back 15 days in time and look at the paths they took to get to Delhi, the kind of people they met with. And then when they were in Delhi, what did they do in Delhi? And then after the event, where all did they land up? What this did was it helped the government understand and be very focused in terms of contact tracing. And then we were also able to find the first degree contacts. Every green dot over here you see is a person that came in contact with the person who attended the congregation. We also helped Mumbai with the containment zones. and analyzing the containment zones. As you can see over here, we're able to analyze the mobility and then let the authorities know whether they need to go through a very aggressive contact tracing or not. The impact has been felt everywhere. You could see WHO, international press talking about how the largest slum in Asia, which is Dharavi, has been able to control this. That's the kind of impact we've had across India. Yeah, that's us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. 2 minutes goes by fast, doesn't it? Okay.
Yes.
Judges, questions?
What's your source of data if you're not relying on users to install an app?
All this data exists in terms of mobile phone data that app aggregators, app data aggregators across the world collect from apps like Instagram and Uber and all the location sort of ready apps. This data is anonymized, and then there is a identifier that's added to it, which is the identifier for advertising. We use that data to do the contact tracing and mobility analysis.
At the beginning, Mark said you pivoted into contact tracing, and
it's not exactly a pivot. It's actually
Yeah.
a side extension to what we did.
Okay, so what's the main business plan, and so tell us more about the company.
Sure. Okay. So the business is essentially we analyze consumer behavior from multiple data sources. So mobile data is definitely one of them, but data sources like CRM systems of companies, social networks, even open data from government sources, and then identify signals that help us predict consumer behavior in the form of spending potential, brand affinities, media habits, and so on and so forth. And this we provide to companies to help them target better. Target their customers better, increase conversions on their marketing campaigns. All our customers have seen a greater than 300% increase in conversions and a greater than 50% reduction in the customer acquisition costs using our analysis.
Okay, great. We got another question.
That's just some of our team. That's the advisory board. That's the team.
Judges, we got one more question. This has been an exhausting hour, maybe for everyone. I think people's brains are getting tired, perhaps.
So are you raising money? Where are you in terms of the business plan financing? Yeah.
Yeah, so we've raised about $3.5 million so far from a bunch of institutional investors, and actually you saw this. So we are from a bunch of investors, and including angel investors as well. We're getting into the market. We haven't really started to raise, but we're looking to raise about $5 to $8 million. Our current monthly run rate before COVID was about $110,000 per month. Now, due to COVID, now we're back down to about $50,000 per month.
Okay, Akash, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great job. Great job to everyone, all of the presenters, fantastic, as well as the judges. Renee, would you be kind enough to repost the People's Choice link wherever you posted it? I have no idea where you posted it. We currently have 64 people who have given their People's Choice votes on our 10 contestants. I think we should leave that open for maybe a few more minutes for any last minute voting. Other than that, I think what happens now is the judges and myself are going to break away and deliberate. And while Shuja and I think someone else is going to give some announcements, which I'll miss. You'll have to tell me what they are later. I think they're actually prizes, so that's good news. So Shuja, I see you're there. Should we?
Yeah, so thank you so much for Mark, and I will leave you and the judges to go and deliberate and come up with your wisdom and share with us. So while the judges are deliberating, I'd like to invite John Whaley to come to the screen. John is MIT class of '99 He's a fellow classmate. He was also the founder and CEO of Unify ID. And John was participated in AI Idol in 2017. That was our first year. And he'll join us to tell his story about his 2017 AI Idol experience and what transpired, and give a quick portfolio update and where he stands today. So John, the floor is yours for the next 2 minutes.
Great. Yeah. Great to be with you. Let me see if I can start my video.
Yeah.
I think you have to turn on my video. Yeah.
Renee or Serena can turn on John's video. All right.
Cool. Yeah, it's great to be back. Well, yeah, like Suja mentioned, we won the inaugural AI Idol competition. So that win, along with some other momentum, led to a successful Series A fundraising for us. So we raised 20 million for our Series A, which was great. It's also great to see Sam O'Keefe on the judging panel. So Sam was the organizer of TechCrunch Disrupt Startup Battlefield, and that's actually where we launched our company on stage, and we won runner-up. So it's fun to look back and reconnect with some of the people and events that were really instrumental in the early days of our company. So just a little bit about Unify ID. We do authentication. We do something called implicit authentication. We use unique aspects of your human behavior, these little habits and idiosyncrasies you may have that make you unique, and then use that to secure your identity. So you don't need to use passwords or 2FA codes, things like that. We did a live demo on stage at our first AI Idol, and I think that was what sealed the win for us. So, you know, and since then we've made a ton of progress, especially this year. We're seeing a huge demand with COVID-19 and like the changes with remote working and the digital transformation. More and more workers and consumers are working from home and transacting from home. And so there's been a huge increase in the need to remotely authenticate someone. Not only that, but like fraud and cybercrime has also increased dramatically. So we have a lot of use cases like passwordless, 2FA, MFA, like streamlining call center, contact center, you know, physical access like doors, ATMs, touchless payment, fighting fraud, things like that. Yeah, and so there's, especially now, because people are commonly wearing masks and gloves, so these biometrics like facial recognition and fingerprints are not as applicable. So there's a lot of organizations that are looking for different alternatives, kind of along the lines of the type of stuff that we do, along just with the behavioral aspect and the movement and these type of things. We are planning to raise a Series B later this year. So the identity space has just been exploding this year. There's already multiple unicorns in this space. So Auth0, they raised like 120 million. That was just announced a couple of days ago. BioCatch, 145 million. OnFido, 100 million. Payphone, 100 million. ForgeRock, 93 million. Like all of these are unicorn companies. I don't think any of them is going to be the winner. They all have Achilles heels. So if you are interested in getting in on the next unicorn in security identity, definitely reach out to me. So we were fortunate to have options in the past with investors in terms of investors to engage with. So Andreessen Horowitz and NEA are two of them that were involved. But you know, I have a big soft spot for the MIT community and the Club of Northern California in particular, especially after AI Idol and you know that kicking off what we're there. So if you know if you do reach out to me, if you have an MIT connection, I will respond. I will take your meeting and everything. And yeah, it would be great to get you involved. Like I mentioned, we're not fundraising right now, but we are planning to do it later this year. And you know, if I look at what happened last time was that you know we kind of went to one of the larger institutional investors, and then they just ended up taking up the whole round. And so we just had to close out the round, even though that there was there were still a lot of potentially interested from smaller parties. So, you know, this time around, I do want to try to get more of a diversity and more different types of investors in. So definitely, if you're interested in this space, interested in, you know, in us and identity and authentication, definitely reach out to me. And yeah, again, if anyone who has an MIT connection, I'll definitely you know, reply and look forward to talking with you.
Cool. Thank you so much, John. And obviously, just for disclaimer purposes, this is not a fundraising pitch. You should connect with John and learn more about what he's doing. And so absolutely. Thank you, John. The next up, I wanted to announce we actually, while the judges are deliberating, one of our sponsors who actually helped us last year as well and sponsored 2 GPUs. So NVIDIA has offered 2 GPUs as the prize for the winners, and I believe the winners and the runner-up, or the winner and the People's Choice Award winners will get those. The third announcement I had was as John mentioned, and we've been working on over the course of the multiple years around building a startup community to help support the MIT founders. And along those same lines, we've been creating a founder-first sort of a network, which we're calling MITUS, MIT Alumni Startup Network. And so in your Slido window, I think Serena or Renee, if you could put in the links. So if you are a founder and you are interested in joining this MITUS network, please fill out the form. We're also putting out a form for allies. So folks who would like to mentor startups or invest in these startups, please fill out the second link, which is the MITUS Allies link, and help support the next generation of founders. And we've heard, during the course of the day today, we've heard from several entrepreneurs, whether it was Neha just before this, how retail is being reshaped, whether it was Dina Kadabi just prior to that, and how what she's doing in her lab, and that's actually become a commercial company. There's no better time to support the MIT founder community and MIT startup community and help them, along their entrepreneurial journeys. So we can share part of their challenges, part of their success, and help the next generation of entrepreneurs. So with that, I think those are the three things I had for you. The Startup Founder Network should be on Slido. So if you could fill out that form, if you are interested. And similarly, we're going to put out the Ally Network link as well.
Hello.
All right, welcome back, Mark.
Yeah, so how were the announcements? Fantastic?
They're great. We've got 2 GPUs for your winners.
Excellent. So our judges have finished deliberating. Now they are coming. Now they're actually tackling their most challenging decision, which is to pick the leader amongst them that's going to announce the winner. So as soon as they come back, hopefully they'll have figured that out. In the meantime, I suppose I could announce our People's Choice. Should I do that?
Sure, the floor is yours.
Okay, so we're at the end of this sprint, and so we've got a few presentations to make. So the first runner-up for the People's Choice segment, and I think we had approximately 80 votes, was Lynn Code Labs. But the winner of the People's Choice segment was Base Operations. So congratulations to Base Operations. You have won a GPU. Yes, so let's all clap. Reactions, clapping. Okay, so judges, would you want to announce the judges pick?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam, representing the judges here. First, thank you, everyone, for coming out and presenting really crisp pitches in the 2 minutes that you did have. I know that's really challenging, so thank you for going through this exercise with us and building great companies. I'm excited to announce that Markable AI was the judges' pick. We were very impressed both with the pitch, which opened with a really engaging video and included several demos as part of the visuals, and also the traction that the team has made so far was quite impressive. And so Markable, we're excited to name you as our winner. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you. And Jocelyn, actually, we had a common friend, Mark, and his other best friend who's an MIT alumni invested in us as well.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
We'll connect.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks to all the judges. You did a fantastic job. Thanks to all the presenters for also doing a fantastic job. Like Sam pointed out, 2 minutes is tough. It's very tough, but you were all great. Thanks to everyone for attending. And if there's nothing else, Shuja, I think we're done. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be productive.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you to the teams.
Thank you so much.